January 31st, 2001, was a day that would live in infamy in the hearts and minds of every self-proclaimed Sega kid out there. After many highs and lows, Sega announced that they were ceasing production of the Sega Dreamcast and officially going third-party. Sega's third-party strategy ended up being pretty grand. They'd released different lineups for the remaining consoles that were almost completely exclusive to those systems. Each release was tailored to take advantage of the hardware and the audience that each console offered, and there's no system that benefited more than Microsoft's Xbox.
Jet Set Radio!
If you ask me, I think the Dreamcast's most iconic game was the wonderful Jet Grind Radio, also known as Jet Set Radio outside of the US. This revolutionary title brought the technique of cel-shading polygons to the masses, creating a true cartoon look. Unfortunately, it didn't quite set the world on fire outside of the hardcore Sega fans. So I was shocked, yet pleasantly surprised when Sega announced that their very first game for the Xbox was going to be a follow-up, Jet Set Radio Future.
Yeah, this is DJ Professor K, baby, the master of mayhem, know what I'm saying? Bring you another Tokyo Underground pirate radio broadcast from Jet Set Radio.
More of a re-envisioning of the original than a true sequel, Jet Set Radio Future once again puts you in control of the members of the GG's Street Gang. You rollerblade around, tag certain areas with your graffiti, and pull off tricks as best as you can. Every once in a while, though, the police will show up. Led by the insane police chief Hayashi, these guys will stop at nothing to help protect public property and save tax dollars, even going as far as to throw some tanks into the mix. Getting an upgraded look from the first game, JSR Future has way larger areas that are more densely populated, but everything moves along at a very smooth frame rate. Outside of the game's look, the most well-known aspect of the original was its delightful mix of licensed and original music tracks. And once again, Hideki Naganuma returns to bring the thunder. The future in the title definitely refers to the neo-futuristic makeover that everyone and everything has gotten since the first game. I thought it was a great evolution to the look. I like it a bit more than the original even.
Bring it on!
All of this is not without its problems though. Camera angles can be really awful and cause you to miss jumps because you can't even see what's coming. I also found myself grinding on rails when I had no intention to, and half the time when I did intend to, I start going in the wrong direction. Finally, a lot of time your objective can be super unclear. And even if it is, the map gets so cluttered that it makes no sense. How am I supposed to even read this? Also, fans were decidedly split on the gameplay changes from the first to second game. Some didn't like the dumbing down of the tagging system. In the original, you had to follow the on-screen commands to complete the tag. But here, all you have to do is pull the right trigger while moving past the icons and you'll spray it automatically. I was actually pretty happy that the tagging was simplified, though I suppose you could say that it brings down the tension quite a bit. JSRF definitely had a bit of an odd course on the Xbox. It didn't sell all that great on its own, but Microsoft decided to include it as a pack-in with the system along with Sega GT 2002. Both discs are backwards compatible on the Xbox 360, so that's pretty cool. But all in all, despite this, it remains exclusive to Xbox platforms. It's not all that often that you see a game with such a fully realized aesthetic where it becomes essentially timeless. Jet Set Radio Future's visuals and pure style hold up extremely well to this day.
My heart ain't pounded like this since my first date. I was so nervous, know what I'm saying? I forgot to wear my underwear, baby.
Under clear blue skies, crazy cabbies earning crazy money.
One of my personal favorites from my early college years was a little game you might have heard of called Crazy Taxi. A couple of years later, Sega released a Dreamcast exclusive sequel that I totally skipped for some reason. But then, Crazy Taxi 3 High Roller made its way to the Xbox in 2002, and was the culmination of the epic that is the Crazy Taxi series, before it would slowly regress into obscurity in the world of portables and free-to-play phone games. Pick a driver and cruise around in a sweet taxi convertible. Pick up fares and give them the ride of their life on their way to their destination before the time limit runs out. That's all there is to it. It's super simple and loads of fun, the way every arcade-style game should be. Of course, you've got a few tricks up your sleeve since this game is completely bonkers. You can boost and drift to build up combos that equals more money from your fares. But since I hadn't played the series since the first one, my eyes nearly flew out of my face when I saw that you can make your car jump? I'm sorry, what? And one of the dumbest things I've seen in a while, they added the ability to make your car jump at will. Hey, why the heck not, I guess? It's not like the game is called Rational Taxi. Each game in the series has taken you to a new city, and 3's no different. This time you'll find yourself cruising around the Glitter Oasis. It's got big buildings and even sprawls out into the desert, but not without a bit of slowdown in spots. It's decent overall, but I think the west coast of the first game was so perfectly designed that I'll always view it as being superior. But there's good news. Crazy Taxi 3 includes the locations from both the first game and the second. This was especially great for me since I never got to speed around the second game's location, the NYC-inspired Small Apple. And in addition to a brand new cast, you also get the cast members from the first and second game, which is good news because I was afraid of missing my beloved Gina.
Okay, let's play cool.
Making a return from the Dreamcast version was the mission mode, aka the Crazy Box. Well, it's called Crazy X here. In this mode, you have to utilize your different moves to complete increasingly ridiculous objectives. It's absolutely stupid. Crazy Taxi 3 is the last game in the series that you'll need, since it has everything that the previous games did. Even the music makes its way over. I mean, who wants to play this game without the Offspring's All I Want?
The smell of cash is in the air, so go get it!
Oh, Shenmue II. Shenmue. I've always been a bit back and forth on this series. Ever since I fell asleep waiting for an event to happen in the first game, I've kind of been unsure how I feel about the series. I wanna love it. So you might wonder, why am I even talking about this? Shenmue 2 is a really huge and important release for the Xbox, and I feel like it should be talked about. But instead of me, well, I thought I'd get two of the biggest Shenmue fans that I know to go a bit more in-depth with it.
So Shenmue was released in Japan and the US to mixed results. People didn't know how to take the game, and also it wasn't a very big moneymaker. They'd invested a lot of money into this franchise, and it wasn't paying off the way they wanted. So that changed the direction of Shenmue 2 in this country.
Sorry, not now. I can't pay it.
What? No money?
Well, pretty much.
All of a sudden, I heard Shenmue 2 was cancelled on the Dreamcast. I mean, I was completely devastated. I remember writing on forums at the time. I was a fanboy ranting, and I was really ranting. I was really upset about it. But there was hope.
Good.
Shenmue 2 was going to come out officially in the US, but now it was picked up by Microsoft. The Xbox had just come out. Microsoft needed some franchises on there. They talked to Sega, paid them some money, and Shenmue 2 was now an Xbox game, which was very unusual at the time. And I don't think I was that happy about it.
Like Johnny, I was really disappointed that it wasn't coming out on the Dreamcast, but at least we were able to get it in English on some platform, you know? The Xbox version of Shenmue 2, they brought back some of the people who did the voices in the original Shenmue so we could hear the game fully in English. And that was really cool, you know, hearing the same voice for Ryo that we got used to playing the first game. So that was a treat.
How about a game? It's $50 a game, and the rule is...
I'm aware of the rules. It's all right.
Do you want to play then?
Shenmue 2 as a game is fantastic. You know, you've got lots of different things you can do. You can wander around, explore, you know, talk to people, you know, see where that kid ran off to with your backpack, talk to shop owners. There's also QuickTime events where buttons flash on the screen telling you what to do. You guys know what QuickTime events are.
Oh, sorry.
But it's kind of weird because the colors of the buttons are in different locations on the Xbox pad than they are on the Dreamcast, so that can kind of send you for a loop if you're used to playing the first one on the Dreamcast, but you get used to it. I really like the story in Shenmue 2. You think about it, this guy trying to get revenge for the guy who killed his father, and it doesn't sound that epic, but it just, it gets to you. You really kind of connect, and you are walking everywhere, doing everything, doing all these mundane things, and I think it's the mundane things that you do that actually help you connect to the character. You either love or hate this game, and honestly, I'm really glad I love it. I mean, why wouldn't I be?
Thanks, guys. You've said more about Shenmue 2 than I ever could have. But I have to admit, while gathering footage for this episode, I spent more time with Shenmue 2 than I ever have. I think I actually finally get it.
You have an aptitude for the move. I was not mistaken.
Early on in Sega's third-party initiative, they ported several games they had in the works for the recently deceased Dreamcast. Chief among these was a third-person shooter named Valkyrie that was developed using an experimental control scheme consisting of a controller and a light gun simultaneously. Now that might sound difficult to manage, but I do wonder if it would have been easier to handle than what we actually got. There's difficult to learn controls, and then there's Valkyrie. The story is about some alternate steampunk timeline where in 1906 a colony on another planet was attacked by some sort of insect. I don't know, I was completely confused and it didn't make a lick of sense to me. Just get in there and shoot some stuff. Gameplay is primarily based around your jetpack, which obviously allows you to fly around. Simply hitting the left trigger allows you to take flight, and then, while in the air, clicking in the left stick and then pressing a direction will make you boost, hover, or dodge. To say that this is needlessly complex is putting it lightly. To say that this is difficult to master is putting it even lighter. These controls have always driven me crazy, and caused me to quit the game every time I've tried to finish it. But something started to happen recently. Maybe it was all those years of attempts. But it started to make sense to me, and suddenly I was pulling off some actual cool moves. But still, nothing close to the high-level play you see in the demonstration mode. You've got two characters to choose from, the quick and nimble Kelly, and the powerful but sluggish Sabarota. For the most part, I've always stuck with Kelly, because I've had a hard enough time wrapping my head around this so-called easy character. I can't even imagine the difficult one. The soundtrack is alright from what I've heard. I always loved how heroic the first level's music is. You could really tell that this was a Dreamcast game until late in production. It looks and feels like a direct port, but with maybe a smoothed out frame rate. The overall designs are pretty good though, and I'm always a fan of a steampunk style. Valkyrie seemed to fade into obscurity fairly quick. I remember its price dropping like a rock almost immediately after release, and those that did give it a shot were probably turned off quickly by the controls, like myself. But I think if you put the time and effort in to really understand and master the nuances of the controls, it's probably hugely rewarding. I could just never do it.
Kelly, Sabarota, we are about to enter the stratosphere of the colony, Tir Nanog. You should already have the topographical map of Tir Nanog, as well as Dr. Hebbel's personal file uploaded into your headset.
Outrun, for as long as it's been around, has been a staple of Sega's library. Yu Suzuki's classic arcade racer helped cement Sega's domination of arcades in the mid-80s. But it wouldn't be until nearly 17 years later when it would receive a direct sequel. You might think after that much time, they couldn't possibly recapture the feel and excitement of the original. It's a total classic and practically perfect. Well, rest assured they do recapture the magic, and it is awesome.
Get ready.
There's 3 modes of play: Outrun Arcade, Outrun Challenge, and Outrun Xbox Live. Those servers aren't online anymore, so let's make that 2 main modes of play. You'll spend most of your time in Outrun Arcade, but there are 2 important sub-modes within this. Outrun mode has you driving through 5 of 15 total stages, trying to make it to the end of the race before the pesky timer runs out. At the end of each stage, in classic style, the road forks and you can either head left for an easier stage or right for a harder stage. Heart attack mode? Heart attack mode? Huh. Not only do you have to worry about the time limit, but you also have to impress the lady that is riding in the passenger seat. How do you do that? Well, by following her directions. Sometimes she'll tell you to pass as many cars as possible. And other times, she'll want you to pull some crazy drifting action. Oh wait, drifting? Well, that wasn't in the original game. Outrun 2's primary gameplay addition is being able to slide around sharp turns and come out of them without losing too much speed. Simply take your foot off the gas, tap the brake, and land the gas again, and you'll be able to hug a corner so tight you're practically driving sideways. It's exhilarating and makes you feel like a professional badass. In addition to these, Outrun 2 has a pretty cool mission mode where you're given objectives such as driving a specific lanes for a certain amount of time, or keeping a maximum speed. Some of them can get pretty wacky too, such as this one where you have to do the math, then drive through the gate with the answer on it. One of the most iconic aspects of Outrun was always its music, and thankfully everything is represented very nicely here. They even included some new music, but I just skipped over all those because I'm always going to pick Splash Wave.
Splash Wave!
I can't state it enough. Outrun 2 is completely awesome, and this is coming from someone who's not even much of a racing fan in the first place. Everyone deserves to play this. So thankfully it didn't stay exclusive to the Xbox for long. A short time later, Sega would release an updated version on both the Xbox and PS2 called Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast. This version had a number of additional challenges, bolstering the value of the original game, which, despite having a lot of unlockables itself, a lot of fans felt it was slightly lacking in extras. Especially on the Xbox, Sega has some really great games. I felt that these were the most notable. But you're probably thinking, where the heck is Panzer Dragoon Orta, aren't you? Well, that one's just so good that it really deserves its own episode. I mean, it's only the best game in the Xbox entire lineup. We can always hope that, perhaps one day, Sega will return to that place where it was obvious that they loved making games. I have faith. Do you?
There's a part in the game where you can actually sit Ryo down on a toilet, and you've got to tap the button to get the turd out. And it's really hard to get the turd out because Ryo is, pretty much constantly constipated. That was a fun part. I'm not serious.